Okay, following my last video talking about the performance-based SR, I saw that they put out a dev diary today, and I felt it was important to at least just put some commentary out there with this one. Um, First and foremost, let's jump into this. In the previous seasons, the focus we was on key abilities and energy management for ultimate abilities, resulting in a more stable combat pace. However, season two shifts the spotlight to coordinated attacks and focused targets, along with necessary collective protective strategies and counterattacks, which has led to a more intense combat rhythm. In this fierce environment, strategists face increased pressure, needing to monitor teammates' health closely while carefully using their key abilities and being mindful of their positioning on the map. Meanwhile, vanguards and duelists must not only attack effectively, but also provide better protection for their strategists to achieve victory. Now, in the earlier seasons, the abilities in terms of their damage output, but also their healing output was so high that you didn't really need to be as mindful of your positioning. You could rely on how fast your ults could charge because there'd be a defensive ult coming out so quickly that you didn't necessarily have to always rely on using cover. For me, the way that I play the game and the way that I've helped teach others how to play the game is always being mindful of your positioning, right? Like, yes, in the ways of the past, you could try to default to relying on your team constantly pumping heals into you, and you could rely on the fact that they had alt charge and they had abilities so strong that they could just survive anything. But now, you can't leave them alone as, your supports are being dove. You can't just stand out in the open and expect defensive ults to bail you out and supports to bail you out of every bad mistake that you make. Uh, they have nerfed the abilities which cause it so that way you cannot just stand out in the open and take a bunch of damage. And they have nerfed ultimates to the point that the game is not just about who presses Q first and who presses Q better. It's about that neutral in between game and how you manage your positioning and your rotations and also your ability to peel. So if you've been watching my videos and you've been learning from them, hopefully as this season has started and as it's progressed, you're having a less difficult time than other players. I know for me, I see people on my team where even if I'm in a game that my team loses, I don't feel like I was struggling, right? I don't feel like I was running, uphill for myself. I feel like the people around me are just sort of struggling in this new environment. Uh, that was always my goal, right? I was trying to teach you from the very beginning how to be a smart player, how to be an efficient player, not to be a player that relies on whatever happens to be broken or whatever happens to be the stat of the time, right? Like uh, having strong support ultimates is something where, of course, it was going to get nerfed. And at what point, if when that gets nerfed, like, what are you going to do, right? Do you just keep shifting to just try and play whatever happens to be strongest? But like, what if that doesn't fit your play style? Good positioning, good resource management, good timing of your abilities, that will always be something that will win you games no matter what the meta is. So, yeah, this is their way of saying like, "Hey, you need to work on your positioning." The reason why you're dying isn't because the game is is bad or unbalanced. It's because of the fact that a lot of players haven't learned how to position well. So that being said, I hope that people have had an opportunity to, at least like watch my videos or learn from my videos and understand the utilization of cover and understand resource management. And so that way, season two hopefully isn't going to be as brutal on you. And I still plan to do more videos about like how to rotate around and avoid damage as a strategist. Um, but it also looks like they're going to give the supports a little bit more of a damage increase, which I think is good overall. I don't think that that is necessarily a bad thing. I'll be interested to see where it goes. But then it means that you can play a little bit less heal bot and a little bit more damage oriented, so you know when to weave the damage in and when to weave the healing in. My only concern is the support ults in this game are still just like uncreative. And this is a problem with a lot of hero based shooters. Every support alt in like Overwatch and Marvel Rivals is like, hey, press Q and nothing can die. And that's such an uninteresting way to play, right? Like, what if instead of pressing Q and saying, oh, nothing can die, it was like you're Luna and all of a sudden you press Q and you have enhanced blasts, right? So now you can be, popping shots and like throwing out either damage or healing, but it's amplified, right? So now you can choose to use that in a way where you can use it offensively or you can use it defensively and keep your team alive in a clutch moment, right? It maybe even it gives you a little bit of added extra defense or something. I don't know, but something where there's a margin of error, but there's also still choice for you, but also choice for the enemy in terms of how you fight against it. To me, that would have been far more interesting than pressing Q and nobody's, and your team's not allowed to play the game or the enemy team, whoever's Luna's ulting, the enemy team isn't allowed to play the game for 12 seconds. Like that's just uncreative. Uh, but that's the way a lot of supports are in hero-based shooters. It's kind of boring, and that part kind of sucks. But yeah, essentially, this is like this is the most professional way I've ever seen a company say, "Hey, get good" in my life, and that's pretty funny to me. Um, Follow up on the competitive performance points. This is important because it does go over a little bit what I was talking about as well. In each match, hero performance is calculated based on the average key combat data for that hero and the player's current rank. The more heroes' key combat data exceeds the baseline for their rank during the match, the better their performance rating, and vice versa for poor performance. Of course, these stats are adjusted based on hero usage and time to ensure that they aren't skewed by playtime. This means to me that they are basing it off of like, okay, how much damage do you normally expect someone to do per 10 minutes or whatever? And sort of divide that by how much time that person played that one hero to see if they can compare it, right? If a player uses multiple heroes on mass, performance rating will be weighted to the usage time. So it looks like they are taking the performance rating of players who are probably higher in rank and comparing them to the same people playing those heroes in a lower rank in order to try and figure out who needs to be taken higher and who needs to be taken lower. And that's sort of, I guess, like how they're gauging it, which once again, if you see my videos, I don't necessarily agree with that usage because what matters in this game isn't comparing how one person figures out a way to play the game versus the higher you play that figures out how to play the game. Like if you are winning games, you should be rewarded for winning games. You shouldn't be rewarded for how much you can match the stats of higher ranked players. I understand that why this exists when you have things like starting players from bronze, you need to rush players who are good out of the bronze ranks and rank resets and whatnot. But I disagree with the fact that you're basing it off of individual stats, not just off of who finds a winning strategy, right? Um, this other part, we've noticed that compared to previous seasons, a small number of duelists have a slight advantage in performance ratings in season 2.0. While some vanguards and strategists face a slight disadvantage. However, most heroes remain balanced. In the upcoming patch will optimize performance rating calculations based on the latest data and ensure fairness across all heroes. This is what I was saying because I've had a few people in the comments would be like, I don't know, like I play heroes that aren't really affected by this, and I feel like it's working fine. Like, yes, because your heroes might be one that directly benefited from this immediate change, right? There are some characters that just had a greater benefit to this type of system, right? And that's what some of us were noticing, right? I'm not saying that you aren't enjoying it, but just because you're benefiting from it doesn't mean there's not flaws in the system. And that was my whole point. And for me, I'm still climbing. Like people are just like, "Oh, you're just coping." I'm not I'm still winning games. Like I'm still climbing in my rank, but I can still recognize that even though I'm climbing and even though I'm benefiting from the system, that there are inherent flaws with the system and it's right. We should point it out. Just because some of us are benefiting it from it doesn't mean we shouldn't point out that like, "Hey, I did a lot in this game as a DPS, but my strategist who enabled me and kept me alive and did a lot like got less points and I don't think that's fair. Like the reason why I was able to go 50-4 as Psylocke is because of the fact that I had a really awesome support backing me up or something, or I had a really awesome tank helping enable me. Like just because I pop off in a game doesn't mean I don't think that the people around me don't deserve the same amount of credit, right? Because you can't 1v6 every game, right? This is still a team-based game, and that's what I want people to understand is that the win is earned, right? I don't think individual performance should be a thing because at the end of the day, the way that I play is a team game. Sometimes I pop off, and other times I try to enable my teammates so that way they can pop off. And we should be rewarding people who work together, not people who individually or selfishly try to lock in DPS and then never switch, right? Um, and yeah, balancing the game rank is a challenging endeavor. We can't guarantee perfection 100% of the time. This is something that like we do give devs a lot of shit. I say being a dev, like devs get a lot of shit all the time. And the fact that like people are just like, oh, it's not 100% perfect. Like we are quick to jump on like the hate bandwagon. Uh, the the point isn't to expect perfection, is to expect improvements. And this is an iterative process, right? I am happy that they have come out and they said, hey, we still want to like tweak some things and make some adjustments. But I am not necessarily super happy with the fact that they're not immediately backing away from this. They're instead trying to tweak it, but it just to me is not a system that can be done in any sort of meaningful way. I don't like systems that are focused on individual performance. I like systems that are focused on winning. Because even if you've watched my videos from like last season, I am all about like doing what it takes to win the game. Right. I am not about trying to shine as the MVP. I am trying to do what is required and switch it, whether that be switching heroes mid game or switching roles mid game, or simply just changing my strategy where, as a Psylocke player, I have always told you guys, peel for your strategist, right? If there is a Spider-Man or a BP on the enemy team, even though Psylocke isn't the best, anti-diver, if Namor is banned and my strategists are getting dove, I have told you guys, peel for your strategist first, and after you peel, then engage, right? I am always telling you to work as a team player. But if you do that, you are not going to get as many kills, right? You are not going to do as much damage. You will be extremely effective at winning the game, but you are not going to be effective in terms of shining yourself as the MVP. But what you do is going to enable your team to ultimately get you the win. And that's the reason why performance based SR just doesn't really shine. It doesn't really work, right? Because, yeah, I am all about working together as a team. I am all about enabling your team. I am not about teaching players to try and just be the solo carry of every one of their games because that's just impossible for most of us to do. Uh, but yeah, they're not going to be perfect. They're going to iterate on it. They're going to try and make improvements. And I'm still willing to let them try and figure this out and try and do their performance based SR. But ultimately, I still hope that one day they go towards a sort of win-based modifier system, and placement matches and all that other stuff. Um, because yeah, what performance-based SR is just it benefits some and it stifles player creativity, and that's the part that I don't like. But uh, that being said, yeah, this sort of highlights what I've been talking about, both in terms of like my strategy for the game and what you players need to understand, what they need to do better on, but also that yeah, like I was right. There were certain players that had an advantage and some people had a disadvantage, right? Like we felt that right away. And we should all call it out, right? Like we should all try to ask for a better game and understand that yeah, it's an iterative process, but I hope that Marvel Rivals only, improves from here. But that being said, this is just a quick video, quick follow up, nothing crazy. Um I hope that I hope that a lot of people find my videos after this because of the fact that I haven't been having trouble in season 2. With dive and everything, even playing strategists, like I think it's a lot of fun playing against dive, but maybe I'm just a sociopath or something. I don't know. Like I think it's fun to outplay a Spider-Man or a BP or something as a strategist, uh but yeah, I hope that more people find my videos, and so that way they can have an easier time understanding like what they need to do and how to play against these types of things. Because uh, good positioning will win you games, like straight up. If you understand how to have good positioning and how to rotate and how to resource manage, like you will win games. Like that. That is how you win. It's not by just having good reaction time. Anyway, that's all I got to say for this one. Yeah, I don't know. Like, how'd you guys feel about this update?